Hi, welcome to the Come Off Conqueror show. I'm your host, Bonnie, and today's topic is motherhood. And this is a bit of a sensitive topic for me because I've never felt like a very good mom. But we're going to talk about my journey in realizing that there really is no perfect mom, but we can be the perfect moms for our kids. Hopefully that will make sense in a few minutes when I start to kind of explain where this is going. I hadn't planned on doing this video for this week, this topic for this week. But as I started working on what I was supposed to deliver for this week, which was a continuation of the abuse discussion and talking about the different types of abuse and how to heal from those, something happened this morning that really got my mind spinning. And as I started working on the other topic, I don't know, I was getting stupor of thought and I could not work on it. And I just kept coming back to this idea of motherhood and coming back to this thought of what is a good mom? What constitutes a good mother? And so if you'll take a minute and think about that, what is a good mom to you? And as you think about what a good mom is to you, maybe pause this video, take a sheet of paper and write down what is a good mom. And write down all the things that you think a good mom is. Okay, pause the video. Let's get back. Hi, welcome back. Hopefully that was a quick pause for you. And that you actually did take a second to write back what is a good mom. And before we really jump into the subject, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Stuff that really just help us spread our message of love and encouragement and help get the word out there and help other people feel inspired and help them come to their healing journey. So thank you for being here and thank you for helping us move this mission along. All right, let's talk about what you wrote on your list of what a good mom is. I'm going to tell you what I wrote on my list, what a good mom is. And I'm going to share my screen here because I want you to see this article that I found. Hang on. Sorry, I've got like 1,000 things going on my what do you call it? Desktop. It drives my husband crazy. All right, I'm going to link to this article, the postpartum progress. I've actually never seen this blog before. But while I was kind of thinking about what is a good mom, I came across this amazing article that the link will be down below. But I want to point out this therapist wrote this article because a cute mom had come into her office. It was her first child, and she was really struggling with postpartum depression. And she, sorry, got like a hair in my face. And she had this mom write down what is a good enough mom. So you see this good enough mom, and you can see what this cute mom wrote. She said, a good mom loves her child unconditionally, never hurts her child, always does what is best for her child, always puts her child's needs before her own, wants to be around her child, always feels the most important thing in the world is her child, should always be willing to give up anything for that child, should be happy staying at home with her kids all day, never resents the child, should feel that the only thing she needs in her life to feel happy is her child, should completely define herself as a person through motherhood, meaning motherhood is her identity. She shouldn't feel bored spending time with her kid. She should feel happy and overjoyed every time she looks at her child, should never think about how enjoyable her life was before her kids, should be able to handle kids all day without needing breaks, and shouldn't feel unhappy at night when her child is awake, right? As this therapist says, there's a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts in there. And sorry, I'm going to stop share now. There's a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts. I added to this list and put a good mom never gives her kids processed food, especially never with dyes in it. She doesn't let her kids have more than an hour of screen time, if she gives them screen time at all, right? She teaches her kids how to clean, how to craft, how to bake, how to dress, how to do makeup, how to present herself and be a perfect little image. She homeschools her kids, or she does homework with her kids. She teaches her kids how to ride a bike. She teaches them how, takes her kids to all sorts of activities, to dance, to piano, to soccer. And don't forget that this mom is also very fit herself and also extremely good looking. And she has sex with her husband every single night because she's never too tired or too sick of people touching her all day and needing her. She doesn't ever feel, like she just needs a break and like nobody touch me right now or anything, heaven forbid. This is starting to sound like things that you may have written on your list. How many of those things do you think actually are what makes a good mom? In a lot of ways, that list to me is pretty good, but it's overwhelming. Holy cow. There's no way for a person to be all of those things all of the time. I don't know a single person who is all of that, especially all of that all at once and all at the same time. There are moments when I do feel like I fit that role. Sometimes maybe for like a 5-minute span. But what we've described here is the perfect, ideal superhuman who doesn't exist. I don't think that person really exists. I know a few people who come pretty dang close, though. We won't talk about them because they are a whole breed unto themselves, and I don't think they're real. They're amazing. But as I got going on my list of what I thought a good mom was, I realized that a lot of the things I had written down were really not that important. Obviously, loving your child is important, right? Being kind and not abusive to your child, building them up and doing those things is important. If we go to what this young mom, after talking with the therapist, said, I'm going to share my screen again. She then got to the realization that a good enough mom does her best right here to teach her child how to live life to the fullest, be there for her children when they need her, teach her child the importance of self-worth, provide food, shelter, and love, be a good example to her kids, make time to have fun with her kids, allow room for her children to make mistakes and learn from them, and teach her children how to love unconditionally. It really is a huge difference. The rest of the article is fabulous. You can read that on your own time, but I like what she put here, and I'd like to add to that some other things. A good mom does love her kids unconditionally. I don't think that is a false one, right? Like, I think that is true. We do love our kids unconditionally. Does that mean we're always happy with our kids? No. There's a total difference between loving your child and being happy with your kid, right? Your kid's going to make mistakes. They're going to be angry at you. They're going to throw things at you. They're going to do things that just really frustrate you. But does that mean you don't love them? No, of course not. It just means you're not super thrilled with the things that they're doing, right? I also think some other things need to be added to that list. A good mom, in my opinion, models healthy living, right? So she attempts to model, I should say, healthy living, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and whatever healthy really means. So that means we model good behaviors, right? That means that what are good behaviors? And I think that's different for a lot of different people. But for me, that looks like admitting when I'm wrong, admitting that I'm not perfect all the time, admitting to my children I made a mistake. I shouldn't have let that get to the best of me. I shouldn't have yelled. I shouldn't have that wasn't the best course of action, whatever it is, admitting that you're wrong and saying I'm sorry. That is modeling to your child that they should say I'm sorry, and that just because you're wrong and you make mistakes doesn't ruin who you are as a person, right? That's a truth that I'm working on learning myself, that just because I make mistakes doesn't mean that I'm any less of a human. I'm any less of a person. I'm unworthy, right? Making mistakes doesn't make you unworthy of anyone's love. God's love, your family's love, your husband's love, your boyfriend's love, anyone's love. Making mistakes is a part of the human process. We were put on this earth to learn. And the best way to learn is trial and error, right? The scientific method is all about making a hypothesis, setting up an experiment. You have a control group, you have a bunch of different variables, and you want some of those variables to go wrong, right? Because then you can prove what actually is the truth. Not every single one of those variables can be perfect and can be right, right? That's life. Life is one big giant experiment. It's trial and error. And if we can admit that to ourselves, then we can model that kind of behavior to our children. Because who would we be if we wanted our kids to be perfect all the time? Who would we be if we wanted them to have these unrealistic expectations of being perfect? There's only one perfect human being, right? And you all know who that was. The only one. There's a book that I read after high school that my stepmom gave me called Where Do I Go From Here? And there's a chapter in it called The Perfection Trap. I highly recommend the book. We'll also link down below. It's fabulous. It's written for girls who are graduating to help them kind of figure out what's their next step in life. It talks about your talents and your strengths and your weaknesses, your patriarchal blessing, if you have one, what you feel like God's calling you to do, and kind of your circumstances in life, your strengths, weaknesses, all those things, to kind of figure out what is your plan, what is your path in life, and what does God want you to do? Because girls have so many different options, right? We can go to college, we can get married, we can go on a mission, we can go on a humanitarian trip. There's so many different things that we can do now as women, and it's hard to know where do we go. Anyway, there's a chapter in the book called The Perfection Trap. And I remember learning that she put in there the definition of perfection as being whole and having integrity. Perfection does not mean flawlessness or without mistakes. It just means being whole. And how can you be whole? You're whole with Christ, right? He makes up the rest. How does that scripture go? You do as much as you can, and then he makes up the rest, right? That is what God's grace is. And that is the whole point of him suffering on the cross and atoning for us in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He did that so that he could make up the whole for us. And I think as a parent, our job, one of the things our job is to teach our children that concept, that Christ is the perfect one. Our job is to try to be like him as much as we possibly can, but we probably will never reach perfection in this life. That will happen when we learn more in the next life, right? I'm kind of going down a tangent here, but this brings me to my point of what is a perfect mom. When I was first with my first kid, we were going through some hard things with her. She was not crawling. she was really upset all the time. You would sing happy birthday, or people would start singing, or like fireworks, anything. It just would make her start screaming and crying. We'd be in a family birthday party and people would start singing happy birthday and she would just start wailing. We were so baffled at what was going on with her. I was pregnant with my second one. They happened way too close together. Um, and anyway, we were at a loss, not sure what to do. And so we went to a what's called early intervention, and they did an assessment. Come to find out that she had what's called sensory processing disorder, and which basically meant her body and her brain weren't connecting. The synapses were kind of broken, and her body wanted to move, wanted to walk, but her brain couldn't tell her leg, do this. So we put her in OT and physical therapy and started working with her on things. Later, it was recommended to us that we put her in a Montessori preschool. Actually, it was recommended, to my sister-in-law for my nephew who had very similar things. And the recommendation came from the OT, and because it would help him get some more support, it would give him some stimulation and that sensory input that he needed, and give mom a break and give him socialization, yada, yada, yada. The reasons were endless. But for him particularly, and I remember listening to my sister-in-law thinking, man, these things sound like stuff that Emma could really benefit from. But being LDS, I had been told my whole life that a good mom doesn't work. A good mom keeps her kids home, all these things, right? All these expectations of what a good mom is. And so I was really struggling with that decision about whether or not we should put her in this little preschool. She was 2.5 at the time. And I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed about it. And so did my husband. And we felt really good about the decision to put her at this Montessori school. And I got a lot of flack for it. People gave me a lot of crap. They were like, how could you do that? She needs to be at home with you, yada, yada, yada. People had lots of strong opinions about this decision, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. And I was really struggling with this because I'm like, what do I do? Doctrine says this, and my church says this, and society says this, but also society also says this. Like, there was so much noise, right? There was so much noise, so many people giving so many opinions. And all I wanted was to drown it all out and just say, Lord, you tell me. And I got my answer. I Googled, what is a perfect mom? Or maybe I put it on YouTube. I must put it on YouTube because I ended up finding a YouTube video, and I'll link to it below, by Mercy River, who at the time was one of my favorite musical groups. They had seen me through my infertility with my first daughter and through some really hard times. And I absolutely adored them. I loved their music. I just thought they were great. And I found this video by them. So I decided to click on it thinking it was going to be a song. And instead of it being a song, it was the main singer, the lead singer, talking about the day that she realized that she was the perfect mom for her kids. And she tells a story about wishing that she was the cool hair mom, or she was the amazing baking mom, like all these. She has so many friends who have all these great talents, right? And she was comparing herself and thinking, man, I wish I could be that mom. I wish I could be the sporty mom. I wish I could be the fit mom. I wish I could be the cute mom, whatever it is, right? That mom, right? And she realized, I'm none of those things, but I am the crazy fun mom who stops in the middle of our fight and has a dance party mom. I'm dance party mom. I'm silly, fun, crazy dance party mom. And she realized, and that is what my kids needed in that moment. And then she begins to teach us this really important principle, that we are given our children because of the unique talents and strengths and weaknesses that we have. And Heavenly Father trusts us to be mothers to these kids because we can raise them in the way that they need to be raised. We are what our children need, which then qualifies us to be the perfect mom for our kids. So we may not be flawless. We may not have everything. We may not be that giant list that we came up with of what a good mom is all the time. But if you will look and make a list of your kids' weaknesses, in your kids' strengths, in your kids' desires, your kids' goals, and you start to compare that to your goals and your strengths and your weaknesses and your talents, I think you will start to see a pattern. I truly 100% believe that God gave you your kids because you are the perfect mom for your kids. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given them to you. He would have given them to your neighbor or to your mother-in-law or to your Relief Society president or to your pastor's wife or to whoever that person is who is giving you lots of opinions about what a good mom is. If God wanted your child to be with that mom, he would have given your child to that mom. But no, he gave you your child, which means that he trusts you to raise them and to love them and to treat them as he would treat them. He is trusting you with one of his most precious daughters or sons. We know how much God loves his kids. He tells us so many times in the Bible how much he loves his little ones. They mean more to him than just about anything. And so he is trusting you to take care of them because he knows that you already have it within you to do that. He has given you talents and strengths and weaknesses and flaws and all these different things to be that parent for them. And if there's something that you feel like you're struggling with, that you don't feel like, well, my kid needs this and I'm not this, you know what you can do? You can pray for it. And you can ask to either become that person and to have those answers, or that you'll be able to find the resources and the answers for it. I wasn't a physical therapist. I could not teach my daughter how to crawl. Do you know how hard that is for a first-time mom? Realizing that she is failing at teaching her kid one of the most fundamental things in human development, crawling. Crawling is so important for learning how to read and to learn how to stand and to walk, and it develops muscles. I mean, crawling is essential. And I was failing at teaching my daughter how to crawl. But I am a problem solver. And so I went and found help. We don't have to be everything. We just have to be willing to be everything and to find the answers. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that gives you some peace of mind that you are a good mom because you love your child and you want to see your child succeed. So to finish up my story about Emma and her sensory processing and going to Montessori, I wanted to close that loop because I realized I hadn't explained the end of that story. So the reason I share that story is not just because I got the answer with being a perfect mom, but I'm not perfect from Mercy River, but also realizing that I needed to trust my intuition as a mom. And I needed to trust that God really did give me my kids because I would know how to parent them and I would know how to be a mom to them. And I realized later how great of a decision that was to put her in Montessori. She excelled and she grew so much. So many things were fixed, and all these different amazing little tender mercies and miracles happened because of that school. We met some amazing friends and just all these different things. And I realized that it really was the best thing for my daughter. It turned out to be such an amazing thing for her. And that gave me so much empowerment to then trust myself so that when I pray and I ask for help and direction, I'll get it. And so I want to promise that even though you may not be the perfect mom, and you may not know all the answers, and you may not feel like you're the right person for these kids, I promise that if you pray and you ask God to help you with whatever problem you're having, He will inspire you and He will help you find the answers, and you'll be able to help your kids and be that mom that you need them to be. And I know that that is possible. It has happened so many times now in my short 8 years of being a mom that I've prayed. We've had a problem. I haven't known what to do. And I've prayed about it and I've asked. I've gotten a weird answer that was totally against society or totally against whatever, like things that I would have thought would be the answer. And then it turned out to be the best thing for that kid or the best thing for our family. So trust yourself. God knows that you can handle this and that you can do this. This is by no means the end all of the subject, right? We could write volumes, and volumes have been written on what is a good mom, and everyone has their opinions on what that means. But I really believe that you were meant to be a mom to your children, and I was meant to be a mom to mine. They test my patience so much, and I'm learning from them every single day, just as they are learning from me every single day. And I am so grateful that God gave me my kids. He gave me amazing kids who can handle my craziness, who can handle my ADD, who can handle a mom who's crazy at times, right? Like we are so meant to be together. When I look at their strengths and their weaknesses and who they are and who I am, man, we really do gel. One of my daughters and I butt heads a lot, but that's just because we're awfully a lot alike. She's going to teach me a lot. But I know that they're mine and they were meant to be mine. And I'm so grateful for that. I hope that you'll tell me what you think a good mom is and what funny mom stories you have and moments when you have known that you were a good mom. And I hope that if you don't think that you are a good mom, this video helped you believe that you are and that you are the right mom. I started one last thing. I have this feeling I need to tell you this. I was really struggling with feeling like a good mom, and I took this emotional resiliency class from my church, and we're about to start it up again here. So if you happen to see this before September and you want to join us for our emotional resiliency class, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. It's going to be on Thursday nights and it's through Zoom, and we have to keep it kind of a small group. So the spots are filling up fast, but we would love to have you if you want to take it. I'm not teaching, I'm actually just facilitating using the manual. Anyway, so I took the class, and one of the things it suggested was to write down some goals. And for me, one of my goals was to not feel like a bad mom. And so I had this feeling that I should write down in my journal every single day examples of when I was a good mom. And so that helped me start seeing times when I was a good mom that day. And if I had made some mistakes, what could I learn from those mistakes? Right? Like, and turning that into a win. And that started helping me feel like I was a better mom. I started to see it, right? You see what you're looking for and you become what you're looking for. And so it reinforced that I really was a good mom. By the end of doing this, after several weeks, I started to really start to have confidence in my ability to be a good mom. I stopped doing it over time, and that insecurity crept back in So I'm starting to do that again, and I'm starting to feel like a good mom again. I sure as heck make a lot of mistakes, but I don't have the insecurity and the mom guilt as much as I used to. And, it's still there sometimes, and I'm definitely not perfect at it. I'm definitely not a perfect mom, but I realize that that's okay. That modeling some of these things and admitting weakness and admitting failure and things like that's actually good for my kids. And if I want my children to have good self-confidence and good self-esteem, helping them see that their identity and who they are and their self-esteem is not wrapped around being perfect. Their self-esteem can't be wrapped around being perfect, because that will lead to a lot of depression, eating disorders, who knows, all sorts of things can happen if you think that you have to be perfect. And that if you're not perfect, you're not worthy. So I hope that as moms, we can band together and start to help our kids see that they are exactly who they're supposed to be, and that they are perfect without being perfect. Hopefully that makes sense. I love you guys. And if you need a friend, if you want to talk about this topic, I'm sure there's a lot I can learn from you. I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on this. This is a tough topic and one that I am definitely not an expert in. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, I love you. God bless. Take care. Until next time.